All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're here at High Rock Park with our educator, Christopher Ricker, and we'll be starting our program shortly. All righty.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Karen Roos, for being our videographer today, as well as our facilitator. My name is Christopher Ricker. If you didn't already know that, I'm an environmental educator here at the Greenbelt, and I want to welcome you again to yet another Greenbelt at Home virtual program. This one is our Animal Ambassadors. So this program is designed to allow all of you to meet some of the animals that live here in our Greenbelt education classroom. And these are animals that are either captive bred or they've been given to us to care for. And most of our ambassador animals aren't pets like a dog or a cat, but instead they're individual species that become representation of all their species to give all of our school visitors, all of our patrons, all of our park guests a chance to meet some of these animals in person, learn about their habitats, their homes, and also learn why it's important to help conserve and protect them. So today, one of our animal ambassadors we have with us, who is a little bit shy, and this is our Eastern Painted Turtle. So Eastern Painted Turtles are one of our native turtle species here on Staten Island. And we have a couple different turtle species that live on Staten Island and here in the Greenbelt. The largest of our native turtles is this common snapping turtle, which is a lot larger, a little more ornery, and has a little bit more of a spiky shell. On the island, you'll see painted turtles like this turtle. Sometimes you'll see the native to the area or invasive turtle species known as a red-eared slider or the yellow-bellied slider, which are both the same species. We used to have spotted turtles on Staten Island as well, but it's been a really long time since we've had any of those recorded. But a species that is most common on Staten Island, and actually the most common species in North America, is the painted turtle. Here at High Rock Park, in some of our ponds, we actually have the largest density of painted turtles on Staten Island, which is really great and speaks a lot for the Greenbelt as habitat, as a space that's a refuge for our native turtles. Because in a lot of other parks on Staten Island, the red-eared sliders, which you've met Flower, our animal ambassador, is a red-eared slider, has outcompeted a lot of our native turtles around Staten Island. And so when we think about habitat, right, and we think about conserving spaces for this little Eastern painted turtle, we're thinking about places that are wetlands. We're thinking of ponds and lakes, which might be a little bit different than some other wetlands that we see on Staten Island. Can any of you at home think of a wetland that might not be a pond or a lake? I know if any of you have ever been to High Rock Park and around the Lavender Trail, which is right near the Nevada Avenue entrance, there's our swamp. And so swamps are wetlands with a lot of vegetation in it. And although some ponds will have a lot of aquatic vegetation, painted turtles in particular prefer bodies of water with a little more wiggle room. They like to swim around. They don't want to be crowded in by vegetation, although they will use the vegetation as a means to hide, as a shelter from predators. You'll also see them basking out on lily pads or on logs, especially during the spring and summer months. And painted turtles get their name because it's a little hard to see, but if you look around the inside of their shell, their coloration kind of looks like it's painted, like someone took a really thin paintbrush and took some really various light strokes with that paintbrush to give them that yellow, that brown, that green. There's some red in there. And even their eyeballs, if you can look, almost looks like the mask that's on their face. That line that's painted goes from their cheek through their eyeball straight and then out towards their little nose. It might be a little bit hard to see in the camera, but you can also use your imagination. So like I said, these are native turtles to Staten Island, and so they're really important to protect. Um, if you look at this underside, it's a little bit brighter and less patterned than you would see on a red-eared slider. So that's a really great way to indicate that it's a painted turtle, where sliders will have a lot of splotches. It's kind of an orangey red color. And this lower portion of a turtle shell is called the plastron, where if we turn it over and we look at this shell up here, the top shell is known as the carapace. And the carapace has sort of modified scales because all reptiles have scales. And these are called scutes. And scutes are evolved scales that became a little bit more armored over millions of years of evolution. And so if we think back to some of the earliest turtles on our planet, some of those turtles were the size of a vehicle, of an automobile, of your parents' car or your car. So you can see that they've gotten a lot smaller over time. And just checking out those scutes up there, which just like a snake or a lizard will actually shed. So these are drying up a little bit because this turtle was out in its enclosure basking. And that helps to dry out the shell, and then it'll peel, just like our skins will flake off as we grow, or as skin dies and new skin regenerates. And I mentioned basking a couple times. So reptiles bask because they are cold-blooded, not meaning that their blood is actually cold, but meaning that they need to utilize outside temperatures in order to metabolize energy. And that will assist them in digesting food and creating energy so that they can do things that they're doing on their daily routines. So something that's pretty cool is thinking about turtle reproduction. And so painted turtles will lay something like 6 to 20 eggs, which we call a clutch. And a lot of us at the Greenbelt have actually seen females crawling out of the water to look for a nesting site, which is also a part of helping to conserve land, because turtles will return to the same nesting spots year after year. So what happens is a turtle may go hibernate for the winter at the bottom of a pond or in the embankment of a wetland, come out, the mating season will occur, and then they'll be looking for their nesting ground. The issue is that if a road or a mall or an Amazon building is then put where that nesting ground used to be, the turtles are still going to have this desire to move towards that area. And that's when they become at risk of being hit by a car, if they're crossing a road, if there's less vegetation where there was once a forest and now there is a giant parking lot, they could be susceptible to predators, not just humans and automobiles, but birds that may want to eat them, which normally they would have some cover, raccoons, different native species, right? Even if there's now a house with a backyard that this turtle has to travel through to find a nesting ground, there may be a dog in that backyard that thinks that this little turtle is a toy, right? So again, conservation of public lands is really great to help preserve not only the turtle itself, but the next generation of turtles to come. Something else that's really interesting is that when painted turtles are digging out their area, they'll actually, the mother turtles will use their own urine, so their pee-pee, to moisten and create a certain amount of humidity within the area that they're going to bury the eggs, right? So moms all across the world, what they'll do for their kids, right? They'll do anything, include use their own urine to help create a nest. So I'm going to put it down just because she is a little bit shy. But again, you can see her head there. You can see that coloration, which would make them camouflage really well in a pond or amongst aquatic vegetation. Right. So painted turtles, I mentioned a little bit about their size. And so painted turtles can be anywhere between 5 to 8 centimeters. So we're talking about, something like 3 to 8 inches. And females will get a little bit larger than that. And when I said centimeters, I meant 28 centimeters, which is 8 inches, because I'm not British. I am not always great with using centimeters, but I tried to convert that to inches for you. Because in science, we always want to try to use centimeters over inches. So again, over the next couple months, you might be seeing turtles a lot more in our parks around Staten Island. You might see them basking on logs. You might see them swimming around in ponds. You might see them moving across roads. And some people want to help turtles cross roads, which is definitely noble and something that we should all do, but you should never do it at your own risk. So any kids out there, you should never try to move a turtle out of a road without a guardian or an adult. And guardians and adults, you should never put yourself at risk trying to move a turtle across the road, especially in traffic. But if you are going to, you should always move the turtle along the direction in which the turtle was going. So if the turtle is moving across the road to one area, even if it's moving towards houses or development, it's moving because it probably wants to find a nesting ground. And if you move it back in the direction it came, that turtle will try to return to the direction that they were going. There's this internal biological compass. It's probably the same thing that sea turtles use in order to navigate the entire globe, in order to travel around and then return to that same nesting site. So trying to move them in the direction that they wanted, the opposite direction in which they wanted to go, will only cause the turtle to try to cross that road later on. But again, you don't want to do that if you're putting yourself at risk or if you're putting the animal at risk. Large snapping turtles can be defensive and they have means to protect themselves. So if you don't feel safe or you cannot safely help a turtle cross a road, you can call places like DEC, the Urban Park Rangers, or 311. So again, this is our Eastern painted turtle. We're hoping again in the future when folks begin to do in-person programs that you'll be able to visit some of these amazing animals in person and learn all about them and their biology and their nature. But until then, we will continue to offer virtual programs so that you can meet all of our animal ambassadors from the comfort of your own couch or laptop or workspace or car, wherever you might be joining us for the day. So again, I'm Christopher Ricker. If you're interested in more virtual programming, you can visit our calendar at sigreenbelt.org. We also have 2 Facebook pages, the Greenbelt Conservancy and the Greenbelt Education page, where you can watch our live streams, and our YouTube channel at the Staten Island Greenbelt. So we look forward to seeing you virtually and in person soon. Have a great day.